I'd like to introduce Matt WYNDOWE.
Well, thanks, Jamil. That was great, and it's great to be here. Thank you all for coming and let me spend some time talking to you. Some of you might have been here yesterday for Sarah Brooks' talk, who talked about some Facebook stuff. I'm going to cover some similar themes, but I'm going to talk a bit more about mobile, as mobile has been and remains one of the key focuses of the Facebook product and engineering team. So after this talk, hopefully you'll understand the attention that we're paying to mobile and also the commitment we have to drive success for mobile developers who integrate with Facebook. Before I got into things, I thought it might be interesting and useful just to hear a little bit about the games team at Facebook. So games are very important to us at Facebook. As little as, I guess, back in 2009, 2010, we didn't really have a dedicated team to any particular vertical. And now games is a significantly sized cross-functional team across engineering, product, partnership, and is one of the biggest verticals at Facebook. One of the fun things about working on this team is that people on the games team tend to have games backgrounds. So I was an unsuccessful game developer, but most people have more impressive game backgrounds and are alumni from Electronic Arts, Linden Lab, Cryptic Studios, Xbox, Zynga, Playdom, a whole variety. And also a lot of indie game developers. And that makes it a lot of fun. We meet as a team several times a week, and we meet every week with Zuck, our CEO, to talk about the games ecosystem and what we can be doing to make games better for users and for developers. So this team really represents a group of people who are passionate about building a world-class ecosystem for users and for developers building massive businesses. What this ecosystem is has changed over the years, and as someone who's been at Facebook almost 5 years myself, and also as a developer beforehand, I've definitely seen a lot of changes. And when we first started releasing APIs, developers started building web apps where essentially they were building in web and building in Flash and starting to figure out what kind of compelling experiences they could develop in a game where you've got a user's real-world identity and real-world group of friends. And this is, of course, where we saw the emergence of big players like Zynga, Playdom, and Playfish, and they started to sort of redefine what social gaming meant on the social web. And that was really exciting and something we were happy to help power and give access to millions and then tens of millions, and eventually these games are reaching hundreds of millions of users. So you took the social game, you connected with Facebook, and brought real scale. In following years, of course, we saw the emergence of these mobile platforms, and specifically Android and iOS being the places that users really wanted to play games, and developers wanted to make great game experiences. So in 2009, we started releasing SDKs for mobile. First, we released the Apple one and then the Android one following, and we've been continuing to beef up those SDKs such that basically we're at feature parity with the APIs we had on web. And what's been really exciting is that when developers plug in to the sort of Facebook growth engine on mobile, they're also seeing tremendous success. So what all of these have in common, sort of from our point of view at a really basic level, is that regardless of sort of what platform you're on, you integrate with Facebook, and we provide a growth engine to 900 million users. And often we hear the kind of question, as a team we get asked, should I develop on Facebook or on Android or on Apple? And for us, it's not a question of or. It's a question of and. You should develop on the platform where your game makes most sense and use Facebook to help you grow. We've been really excited with the success that our developers have had. And right now, over 250 million users play games with Facebook every month. That's once again across web, Android, and iOS. And that's really exciting to us. What's interesting is if I told you 4 years ago people were playing games with Facebook, you could basically figure out exactly what those games look like, and you could probably even tell the animation style used and the gameplay. And that really isn't the case today. Social has pervaded all different forms of categories of games in a really exciting way. Some of the things we've looked at particularly in the last year or two, we've seen hidden object games get really big, core games such as the ones built by Kixeye and others. These are titles that are bringing in $100+ million of revenue per title. You have bubble shooters. Facebook users love bubble shooters. I think we have like 75 million users a month playing bubble shooters on Facebook. So that's a very exciting category for our users right now. And that's got a lot of excitement generally in the action sort of arcade casual title saying, hey, what's going to be the next bubble shooter, right? And casino continues to be an interesting category with a lot of monetization options. And recently we've seen a lot of really exciting success in the turn-based mobile developers with great games like Draw Something and SongPop, which you'll hear a little bit about later on. So this has been really exciting for us, and as I said, as for the product and engineering team being very focused on the mobile environment, what makes us really excited is a lot how this translates to mobile. In the last 30 days, Facebook drove people to the Apple App Store and Google Play almost 150 million times. And this is exciting because people are developing these great apps, and where we actually see the numbers and the metrics, how as it starts catching on from friend to friend and from network to network, the growth intensifies, and these great games really do rise to the top. And what we're hearing from a lot of devs is that we're their #1 source of traffic to the App Store and Google Play. And that's really exciting for us to help people rise up those rankings naturally and organically just by making a great social experience. Basically, I'm sure a lot of you have some idea of how Facebook works. The real basic types of integrations tend to be often the most effective. You've got feed stories that you send to us. There are feed stories that we generate on your behalf, and we're increasingly generating stories for games that we see quality metrics that are really high and start suggesting those to users who we think will enjoy those games. And then we have just simply requests. You want to play with a friend, you send a request regardless of their device or platform. They'll receive that request and can jump in and game with you. And all of these, of course, will drive directly to your app or will prompt the user to install the app. Once the user has actually installed and logged in with Facebook, we are seeing dramatically better engagement and monetization rates. And on Bingo Bash, for example, Facebook users are playing 65% more sessions. Diamond Dash, I just realized that rhymes with Bingo Bash. Facebook users are 8 times more likely to spend. And we see this basically across the board. And you should definitely, of course, talk to other devs if you haven't integrated with Facebook about their experience with it. And of course, if you have, we'd love to hear about your experience with it. It's not really surprising that 7 out of 10 of the top grossing apps in Google Play and in the App Store have Facebook integration. And this is really exciting for us. Of course, we focus more on the 3 out of 10 that don't as a team. That's just our style. But we are excited that we're starting to be able to drive growth for mobile developers in a similar way that we were able to drive growth for web. And a lot of our efforts basically get to making this whole cycle of bringing in an SDK, having feeds and invites working, and users authenticating in, and then inviting their friends, having their friends see it, just that basic flow, we're spending a lot of time on just getting that to work really, really, really well. One of the initiatives that we launched recently was our new iOS SDK in partnership with Apple. And this was a really exciting announcement. You guys should definitely go check it out. It makes a lot of things much, much easier. And it's something that we're really proud of. Makes user session management easier, brings native controls for login and multi-friend selector and other things within your app to help with speed and performance a lot. We're really excited and passionate about this and look forward to this sort of raising the bar and the kinds of things that we put out for the mobile dev community. So go to check it out at dev.facebook.com/iOS if you have a chance and you haven't seen it yet. So the next part of my presentation is going to be going a little bit more into the weeds about exactly what does success look like on mobile for a social app. Give you a feel of, what does that ramp look like, how to iterate, and what kinds of hooks to build in. But instead of doing it myself, we decided that we should get someone who has actually experienced it to come up and talk about it. So I'm really excited to welcome Matthew Nuzaret up, who is the CEO of Fresh Planet and also the founder of SongPop. So please welcome Matthew.
So that was the game, and I'll give you a quick overview of who we are and how we got there, because the company, I started the company about 3 years ago, and we built 3 games before this one. The first one is a time management game called Spy Life. You can find it on Facebook and on the iPad platform. Then Dreamland, which is a role-playing game. And then we also had a game called We Are Music, which was also a music trivia game. And SongPop is very new. At the beginning of the year, we identified a new opportunity for game developer, and this new opportunity is, the convergence between mobile and social. And we decided to give it a try and see how it goes. And we launched the game in early May after a few months of development. We had no marketing, no cross-promotion, or very little cross-promotion. And in 3 months, we were able to reach a little bit over 10 million monthly active users. And yesterday, I think we broke the 3 million DAU for the very first time. And all of this really just by having a great game and taking advantage of the tools and the technologies made available by Facebook. And I can assure you there is no trick. It's all natural. So the reason why this game has been so successful is that, first of all, I think it's a great game, but it's a game that is social by nature. And when we designed the game, we decided to make it purely social. There is no way you can play this game by yourself. You cannot play against a computer, you cannot play by yourself. You have to find someone to play with. And that's one reason why the game is growing so fast. Of course, we're using music, so it's appealing for lots of people. And we also wanted to insert some kind of challenges and competition between people. And that makes, that enables us to have a long-term interest in the game. And beyond that, we were able to tap the Facebook platform to grow very, very, very fast. So we've used everything we knew, including Facebook invites and more importantly, the Facebook Open Graph. And since we wanted to reach the maximum number of people, we decided to build a multi-platform game, iOS, Android, and Facebook. And we launched the game on the 3 platforms almost the same day. So as a result, this symbiotic relationship between the game and Facebook has been done through, integrating Facebook very early on in the game. If you log on for the very first time in the game, you will be asked to log in with Facebook. You have an option to do it, without Facebook, but we much prefer Facebook, and I'll tell you why later. The result is that around 65 to 70% of the players today log in with Facebook. We've had 6 million clicks from the Facebook mobile app to the game. So that's in 3 months. That's a lot of clicks. We are also using Facebook to find friends. So we can tap directly into your Facebook friends list, and we know who is playing the game and who is not playing the game. And we can send different messages to those 2 groups. And of course, we've used Open Graph, which has been instrumental in helping us grow the game. We are using Open Graph in the ticker, in the news feed, in the timeline, and even when you play for example, on the iPhone version of the game, we will update your timeline, for example, on your Facebook profile. So it doesn't matter which platform you play on, it will use the Open Graph no matter what. And the reason is also the reason why we're pushing Facebook so much is that we have noticed that people who play with Facebook, they are much more engaged and they monetize much, much better. They play with more friends and they monetize better. On average, I would say 1/3, 35% more. So it's much better for us. And the last thing I want to talk about is really put the emphasis on building cross-platform title. I think this is, most games will be like this in the future. And every platform is helping the other one. So when people play on iPhone, we will drive the adoption on the web/Facebook version and the other way around. So if you play on Facebook, it will help us drive adoption on iOS or Android. And if you want to build a social game, you need to build maximum liquidity, as many people as possible. So if you can, I think it's a very, very good option to build multi-platform from day one. And all of this has been done by a very, very small team. We are less than 15 people. And so if we did it, I think anyone in this room can have the next success if you work hard, if you're smart, if you're experienced, and if you take advantage of the Facebook platform, you can be the next big hit on the platform, even if you're small. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Mathieu. As a team, we see apps and games like SongPop emerge and grow so incredibly fast. That's really what makes us so excited. I mean, just the concept of something like SongPop, which none of us would have come up with, and then when we saw it sort of spreading through our graphs, then we could see the growth going sort of through the roof of a developer who really understood the marriage of mobile, social, cross-platform, and just really great high-quality experience. It was just really awesome to see, and that's one of the most motivating things for us as a team to talk about and to sort of celebrate. So thank you, Mathieu, for sharing your success. We have been fortunate to have been able to offer a lot of tools to the games ecosystem to let companies succeed. But we are under no illusions that we have a lot still left to do. And as a team, what we generally focus on are all the problems and all the issues and all the things we need to fix to make things easier for the developer community and the game development community. We have to do a lot to allow developers to build easier. The iOS SDK, I think, is a good example of the kinds of things that we can do to make that process easier, but it goes all the way through documentation and through onboarding and everything like that. We need to continue to grow the distribution channels, especially in mobile, to make sure that people can see the sort of massive success that SongPop has seen, and that, of course, we saw on the web in earlier years at scale, that we can be seeing significant growth, and we have to keep focusing on that. Because Facebook predominantly, for many developers, is that growth engine. And finally, we need to do more to help measure impact, to give the analytics, the understanding of how we're growing traffic and allowing users to boost that, allowing developers to boost that and optimize around that. So we have a lot of work. We've got a lot of cool products that we're hoping to launch out in the next 3 to 6 months to help developers and help the game ecosystem, both on web, on Android, and on iOS. And we're excited to do it. So on behalf of myself, the Facebook employees here, and especially the team back home, thank you very much.